Ladies and gentlemen, this is Closer Conversations. My name is Austin Glazer, and we are back. With Mike Spindler of the Carosa Realty team, and I'm thrilled to have not only a realtor here, but my close friend. Mike, how are we doing?
I'm super excited to be here, man. I really appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, man. So as I mentioned, we're back, folks. It's been quite a while since we've had one of these podcasts done, and I just couldn't think of anyone better to have here.
Start off with a bang.
Starting off with a bang, baby.
I like it.
So I know you mentioned you listened to a couple of the episodes before you came, and as you may or may not know, but we usually start off with the same question. Right. What's your definition of success, Mike?
You know, I think my definition of success, at least as it pertains to, being a real estate agent, is I want everybody that I meet with, any client, afterwards, I want them to say, Mike Spindler, he's the best real estate agent I've ever met. And that could just be being, they see me as reliable. I answer the phone. We get through tough conversations. I'm available 24/7. I answer questions when they, need be. I'm just always there for them. And, it could just be getting the deal done. It could be buyer, it could be seller, renter, investor, whoever it might be, somebody off the street. Every time I meet with them, I want them to say, damn, that guy's good at what he does. So, that would be my definition of success, at least as it pertains to being a real estate agent.
Yeah, for sure. But what about in your personal life? What's your definition of success?
You know what? Being able to, being happy at the end of the day, right? Like, coming home from a long day of work and being able to at least, spend time with my fiance, being able to put food on the table, going out to a steak dinner whenever we want, just being able to have that freedom to be able to do so is huge for me.
Yeah, for sure. Soon to be a married man, by the way.
I can't believe it.
Can't believe it. Pretty exciting.
6 weeks.
You excited?
And you still haven't opened up the mailbox for my invitation.
Listen, I don't open up the mailbox when I get checks in the mail. I need someone to tell me to open the mailbox, but I will. Now we'll go together after this.
Yeah, we'll go down together.
We'll open up the mail.
Perfect.
All right, cool. Well, Mike, how long you been a realtor for?
So we're going on a little less than 3 years. So not long. Got started kind of little bit before COVID.
Wow.
So it hasn't been very long.
Okay. But you've done some, you kind of glossed over, but you've done some monster numbers in your few years though, right?
Yeah, I got very lucky. Obviously hard work as well, but I got very lucky getting into the market that I got into. Right. Not everyone has that affordability to get in at that point. But yeah, first year in the business, 14 million, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I lived in an attic in Brooklyn.
Okay.
So to be able to do that I could never imagine that in a million years.
Okay.
And obviously going to keep growing that, of course.
Well, so you mentioned living in an attic in Brooklyn. Yep. So now I want to know a little bit more about your upbringing.
Yeah.
And let me just say what's fun for me as the host and to all the people that are listening out there, I know Mike really well. We talk like twice a day, and I don't even know your story.
Yeah.
So I'm if you want to share it with us, I think it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, my parents got separated when I was young. Like, I'm sure a lot of people have run into the same situation.
Sure.
But my mother worked, a full-time job, and we didn't have much money growing up. And, so we lived in an attic upstairs from the guy who ended up being my best man, which, you'll meet him at the wedding. And we rented an apartment from his parents. We lived upstairs. It was a one-bedroom attic. Mm-hmm. I lived in the living room on a pull-out couch.
Wow.
And then when I met Leanne, who's, we're getting married in November, like you mentioned,
mm-hmm.
she's like, look, we're already dating a couple of years at that point. She's like, look, it's time to, I got a job in Stanford, so I'm moving out, and I was like, all right, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity to just do something different.
Yeah.
And that was obviously, I moved to Stanford from there. So, but I was living in a, one bedroom attic for a really long time.
Yeah.
And, so obviously a lot's changed since then.
What did you do before real estate?
I worked, I went to school for exercise science.
Okay.
I was a personal trainer for Equinox.
Cool.
For a while. I actually worked at a place in the city, working with athletes. That was my goal at one point or another, to work with athletes. And I got to meet some awesome athletes. We could talk off air on guys that I ended up working with. But what I realized is that career is you're always traveling around. Let's say you're the head strength and conditioning coach at Alabama. After 3 years, then you're going to Florida, and then you're going to Miami, and if you even have that luck to be able to get those jobs. So I didn't want to have that revolving door and moving my family around and around. So I had to find something else. In the meantime, I was a waiter at Capitol Grill for like 4 years, which was a great job. Made a lot of connections there. But so I always had that customer service focused mindset, and I think that's really helped, being a real estate agent.
Yeah, for sure. So what were some challenges you had in the beginning?
As being a real estate agent?
In general, or real estate agent, however you want to take the question is how you can answer it.
Learning what to say to people.
Yeah.
Especially talking through like different. I mean, this is like, someone's buying a $500,000 house, even a $250,000 house. That's $250,000.
Yeah.
This is a huge investment for anybody. So no matter what price point it is. So just being able to talk through, everyone's anxiety is through the roof, right? So you need to be able to be that guy to be calm, be able to relax them, talk them through the situation, and ultimately get it to the finish line. So I think learning how to have those conversations was the biggest challenge, especially when you first get started. They don't teach you that in real estate school.
Yeah. Is there a real estate school?
There is.
Okay.
There is. But it's all about, here's the law, you can't, you can't disrespect a certain race or gender or things like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't teach you how to talk to people, how to get business. It doesn't even touch upon that at all.
The Brooklyn in you should kind of, that should have taught you a thing or two.
I mean, it definitely helped.
Yeah.
It definitely helped having that like kind of city background.
Okay, so that was some challenges. What were some? So I know you went in the market when the market was hot, but what were some early successes you saw?
In terms of like individual transactions, or
answer the question how you like.
I think right out of the gate, I think that most of the people that I was running into, especially where we're at in Stamford, Connecticut, we're only 45 minutes from New York, and everybody was flocking out of New York City. And then they meet me and they're like, wait a second, you're a New York City guy. How do you like living in Stamford?
Yeah.
So it was a no-brainer for a lot of the clients that met me because I already made that transition. I was already up here a few years, getting a feel for the area. So they're like, I think it made them feel more comfortable, which ultimately made our conversations at the end of the day a lot easier.
Very cool. Very cool. So advice to someone who's starting out. What do you got?
Talk to the most amount of people you can all day long, whether it be, I mean, I know people don't like making cold calls, but it's part of the business. Another thing they don't teach you in real estate school is, that's a big way on how to get business, whether it be door knocking, whether it be doing networking events like I'm sure we'll talk about and starting things like that. But just talk to the most amount of people that you can in one day and the business is going to come. And then just do a good job with those people that you end up getting.
So, okay. So that's your advice. What's something you tell them to stay away from?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Thanks. I just came up with it on the spot.
That's pretty good, actually, right on the spot there. Stay away from being negative.
Okay.
Especially around, people now, especially with the market when we're recording this, the interest rates, right, going up and up and up.
Probably went up another point while
exactly,
we're sitting here.
Exactly. So I think like if you have that positive mindset, like you meet a client and they start talking about, well, I can't buy because the interest rate's through the roof. Well, show them the positive. Well, guess what? You could always refinance. You could always buy down an interest rate. You could always negotiate the price now that the market's not as hot as it was. Just be positive, have that positive mindset no matter what, and watch the clients roll in, or at least people start feeling more comfortable with you after that.
Yeah, just staying positive. I mean, in my industry, it's very hard as well, just to stay positive,
Right.
And I'm sure you're, a lot of your deals, like you're not guaranteed a salary, right?
Nope.
So it's like you really got to make sure that every deal you're giving it your best, or else you might not
100%.
eat, So I get it.
And we got to have our steak dinners, right?
I was actually gonna touch on the first time that you and I met. We didn't really talk about real
estate. What was
estate.
the first time?
It was Winfield Coffee.
Yes,
and
right.
we didn't even talk about real estate. We talked about how bad the steakhouse across the street was, and we said we need to get a piece of steak. And I think the next time we met up, we wound up going to Prime.
Right.
I may have skipped 3 or 4 things in between, but I know we have done steak since.
Yes.
Okay.
What's your favorite steakhouse? I mean, I know it's a real estate.
All right, no,
podcast.
I'm down. Now we're putting me on the spot. That helps me because just for the viewers or listeners at home, I usually have notes. I came in with no notes because I was like, Mike Spindler is the man. He's a good friend of mine. I don't need notes. My go-to steakhouse is Benjamin's in White Plains or Elmsford. It's
very
phenomenal.
underrated.
Very underrated. Then I'd go Flames.
Where's that?
One of them is in Elmsford. One of them is in White Plains.
I think
get
we
confused.
have to go.
I'm more than happy.
Maybe
to
right
go.
after this podcast.
I don't know about all that, but I am into it at some point soon. What about you? What are your go-tos?
You know what? People kill me. It's a chain, but Mastro's is out of control.
Yeah, well, there's only like 4 of them, isn't there?
Yeah, there's I think one in Vegas, one in New York.
There's definitely one in LA. My brother talks about it all the time.
That place is out of control.
Yeah.
So good. The sides are, I'm a sides guy.
The sides are
cream
important.
spinach.
I love cream spinach.
Out of this world.
Okay, where's the one near us in New York?
It's right by Madison Square Garden.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we'll go to a Knicks game and we'll go to.
Yeah, I'll see a couple basketball team lose.
Hey.
I think basketball's now back in season, isn't it?
Yeah, preseason started, I think, this week.
Oh, that was preseason.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm like not a basketball guy. I
better-
live for
better
football
run.
though.
Yeah.
Jets look good this week.
That was a huge win.
Yeah.
I can't believe they won that game. I was cursing them out.
Yeah?
With 2 minutes left in the game, and they came back and won.
Well, Wilson looked good.
Unbelievable.
All right. Well, we're shifting gears back to
Yes,
podcast stuff.
yeah.
All right. So, what does the day in the life look like of a realtor, or more specifically, what does it look like as a day in the life of Mike Spindler?
So, sorry.
It's all good.
I would say my morning is, and shout out to Chris Carosa for this one. My morning is first thing, make your phone calls. You know, so we're time blocking 8 to 11 a.m. We're cold calling, you know, for sale by owners, expired listings, you know, calling our sphere, past clients, people like that. Anybody that's inquired about a property at one point or another. That's the first part of the day. You're generating your business right out of the gate. I think, you know, if you leave it to 5, 6 p.m., and a lot of people answer at that time because they're getting home from work, but you're tired at that point, right?
Yep.
So, like, that's the activity. That's a money-making activity. That should be done right out of the gate to start the day. You know, usually lunchtime is maybe, you know, going to lunch with clients or any vendors and sitting down and networking a little bit. And then after that, I mean, you pretty much, if you get all that done, by 1 o'clock, your day is pretty much flexible to do what you got to do. So obviously after that would be showings and things like that, and any sort of you know, catching up on deals. But the biggest part of the day is right in the morning, in my opinion.
I agree, and it's funny. There will be people out there. So recently, I've been having some trouble waking up as early as I used to. But
What time? How early are we talking?
Well,
You're
like,
a 5 a.m. guy.
I used to be. I've been having some trouble waking up as early. But one thing I constantly tell, like my assistant and people that I've trained, is like, you know, the early hours is when everybody else is slacking because they're still tired.
Yep.
If you can beat that, and you can and I got to get myself back into this mindset myself because I've fallen out of it. I used to be so good at getting up early, going to the gym, starting my day. Like even a day like today, I'm going to go to the gym later today.
Me too.
Which is silly of me because listen, if I could have done that at 5 o'clock and I'm having a slower week, I could have been there hammering the phones. But like you said, and this is a great point, I'm tired at that point. You know, like I go to sleep pretty early. You know, so
what time you go to sleep?
I go to sleep at like 9, 10 o'clock.
That's pretty early.
That's definitely pretty early.
That's pretty early.
10
So
o'clock's late.
You missed the whole football game.
No, I stayed up for the whole game. I stayed up for the whole game. It might get my fantasy football matchup.
Right. That's why you didn't get up early this week. Today.
Yeah, well, that's the excuse I'm telling myself.
Fair enough.
But yeah, like you said, I'm tired at 5, 6 o'clock. But there are people out there that'll work those hours, and I'm like, I believe in the concept of working smarter, not harder.
Yep.
And I think that if you just you're up already, you're just laying in bed doing something silly.
Like, probably on your phone or something.
On your phone already, like if you could just get in there a little earlier, it would be better.
Yep.
All right, so we covered advice. What's something you think we should know?
I mean, in terms of me in general, I mean, I think you touched on it. I'm a diehard sports fan. So Jets all the way, Mets all the way. The Mets are in the playoffs. I mean, this has nothing to do with anything this podcast covers, but that's just me. Like, any Met fans out there would love to have you as a client. I'll take real good care of you, I promise.
We can't reference specific clients, can we?
I guess not. No. I don't know.
We got a cool new client though.
That guy's awesome.
Yeah,
that guy's awesome.
That was we can't dive into it.
He's a great guy. Actually, I've been buying. So my client gifts.
Yeah.
Is like as soon as they close, I wait a week. I get these beautiful from Etsy, these wine boxes.
Okay.
Hopefully, no other realtors are listening to this.
I bet they are
because the clients love it. But it's a wine box, a wooden wine box with their name engraved on top, and then I put a nice bottle of wine in there. I drop it off usually a week or two afterwards. So right after this, I'm dropping off to that one client's house that you mentioned.
You could write "Go Jets" on the inside, or
I don't know how you'd feel about that. But
I don't either.
I think he knows my position, anyways.
Yeah.
But I've gotten more referrals from those client gifts, specifically the wine boxes, because everyone does like a cutting board, and does some people don't do anything.
Yep.
But I do. I get so much business just from those wine boxes. People go crazy for it.
Yeah.
Like they think I engraved it.
What is it like? You got a picture of one?
I don't have one on me. I'll send it to you when I get home.
So is it like a crate almost?
So it's like an actual box that opens up. You put the wine in there, and then they have like 4 or 5 different wine, like a wine opener or a wine cork. There's like really nice things in there. I mean, I've done charcuterie boards that are
Cool.
engraved, but the wine box just hits different. Because it's engraved.
Yeah.
I guess, and it looks like I took the time to really pick something personable, a lot of people like to drink wine, so I don't know, maybe that.
Do you fill it with wine?
No, I buy a bottle of wine.
Oh, you put a bottle.
Yeah,
of wine.
I put a bottle.
How many
of wine.
bottles of wine does it hold?
One.
Oh,
It's like almost like it could be like a to-go thing. I think, like, how you have your bar set up back
Yeah.
there. You could have like a nice like wine box there with your name on it, and then if you have a really nice bottle, you keep it in there.
oh, all right. That's pretty.
It's
fancy.
a nice little touch.
So, okay, that leads me to another question that I just came up with on the spot. How important is creativity in your industry?
100%.
Yeah,
Always.
Elaborate for me.
Well, I think something like that is huge. Like we've spoke about, and not to name names, but which I won't. But like our other realtor buddy, who does the drawings.
Oh yeah,
unbelievable. I think just that extra. The old school agents aren't. I don't think they're doing those things.
no.
So there's so many. There's more agents than houses in this country right now.
I wouldn't doubt it, but I would say by next year it'll probably be.
I'm sure it'll change.
Fixed.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll change. But
Yeah.
There's still so many agents that you have to do something every single day to stand out. Because even just because somebody bought a house with you, like you have to keep them as your client and friend forever, right? If you want their repeat business, because at some point someone's going to transact again, whether it be buying an investment property or buying another house, getting a smaller house, having a family member move this way. So you have to stay top of mind always. And if I buy that wine box, like here's the theory behind it is, I buy that wine box for you and that's sitting on your bar or your tabletop somewhere, you're always going to think about Mike Spindler every single time that you think about that wine box. And you're staying top of mind ultimately at the end of the day. That's how you get those referrals.
Yeah, for sure. What's the most creative closing gift you've done? Is this it?
I'm not fancy, and I like to keep it pretty like regimented because have you ever been on Etsy's website?
Like once.
You could just have a field day there for client gifts.
Okay.
So I've bought other things, like I said, charcuterie board, and stuff like that. But I like to keep it simple pretty much every single time I get the same thing, unless I know that they don't drink whatsoever. Then obviously I'm not going to get them that type of gift. But that's as creative as I get.
Okay. Cool.
In terms of gifts, at least.
All right, so I got a on-the-spot question. So you work for a legend in Chris Carrozza. He's one of the greats that have ever done it.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with him?
To be honest with you, as I was getting my real estate license, and I got my license because I wanted to invest in real estate. So I was looking at properties. I didn't have any money at all, and I was like, I realized I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Let me start from the ground up, learn the actual business, learn real estate, and then get involved. But so once I started taking my classes, I was like, all right, who am I going to work for? Because you have to hang your license somewhere,
basically.
Exactly. And I was like, all right, I want to work for the best. Like, why not, right?
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
just Googled top realtor in Stanford, and boom.
That's why you want to play for the Yankees.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But so I reached out to Chris. We set up a meeting. We hit it off. I think our personalities are very, very similar, but also very different at the same exact time.
Yep.
We hit it off right from the very beginning, and it was just basically me reaching out. It's kind of a cold call, to be honest with you. And luckily he answered.
All right, cool. That's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
So, Mike, we do something pretty cool together. A couple of months back, we started a group called Connect CTNY. And what that is just a place for like-minded individuals to come together and just network.
Yep.
What's that experience been like for you?
I mean, you tell me, man. It's been awesome, right? Like
pretty
we've
cool.
met some. We've only been. What is this? Our second? We're going on our third, fourth. Yeah. So we're like super early stage with it, but like just the people that we've met so far has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it basically, I think how you and I wanted to have it set up and continue growing it is we want it to be more a happy hour style kind of vibe, where you get a drink, you kind of just mix and mingle, as opposed to that regimented kind of like a business, like a B&I structure.
Right.
So I think we wanted to do something different, something more 2022-ish, so to speak. And so far, I think it's been awesome. And I think we'll probably put some sort of link maybe in this podcast for anybody listening to
We gotta figure that out.
I created another job for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think so far so good. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, I think it's been, I pride myself on creativity, and I think that's how right here we're sitting in my living room that I turned into a studio.
And it's awesome.
Thank you. But I think it's been really cool. I mean, my favorite part has been watching every event. More and more people are coming, and it's like, we had one event where it wasn't that great of a turnout, but we had such quality individuals
Yep.
that showed up, and it just adds to the mystique that our Connect CTNY group has become.
Yep.
So I'm gonna have to figure out how to link this, and I'd love for other
I'll
people
help
to
you out
come to
with that.
this. Yeah, I just I think that it's just a great opportunity, right? I think that there's something to be said about connecting with like-minded people,
Yep.
right? You are the average, you are the top 5 average of the people that you surround yourself,
I
or
agree.
however that saying goes. So yeah, I think that that's something like really, really special that we're working on.
And not only that, is not only meeting new people each time, but especially for you and I, we've had our previous clients or current clients,
Yeah.
so to speak, come to these events, and it's just another way to, again, stay in front of them. Stay on. We're adding value. We're creating this group of people that are, like you said, like-minded people, and now we're staying in front of them, and we're mixing, mingling, and networking with them as well. I think that's also been another layer to it that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, especially so like we talked about earlier. You said like your clients have they're going to transact again,
Yep.
right? My clients transact a lot more,
100%.
a lot faster than
Right.
yours do. Because
More
right, if they
frequently.
have car insurance, they're going to add another car.
Right.
Or they're going to do home insurance. They're going to do something
Yep.
else. So just staying in front of them is so crucial, because if you're
Huge.
not, someone else is.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
And just like you said, there's more realtors than there is homes for sale.
Is the same for insurance agents?
Probably not, but I mean, because everybody's dog and their sister
Right.
are real estate agents
Right.
now.
Right.
But first off, I'm a firm believer that the cream always rises to the top.
Yep.
So that'll happen. But it's just about staying in front of them, because like I said, if you're not, somebody else is.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm kind of out of questions now. Where do we take this?
I don't know. I mean, should we talk more about Connect CT?
Yeah. So I mean, we're gonna have this. Our next event is going to be pretty special. It's going to be at. I feel like I'm telling you, but I'm telling everybody. Like you already
Everyone's
know about
listening.
it.
Yeah.
So our next event is going to be at an indoor golf simulator, where
Which
we're going to be
is so cool.
so cool. Except Mike Spindler can't swing a golf club. No big deal.
Hey, but isn't there a baseball simulator there? Or
I
like
think there's a
basketball
baseball,
stuff? I
and
could do
hockey, and football. I think
could-
there's all of them.
I could do that. I could do football.
So yeah, we're going to a simulator,
Yep.
though, in essence, and what it's going to be is it's like a huge location. There's going to be, we're expecting probably 80 to 100 people.
Yep.
And it's going to be a special event. It's going to be our biggest yet. We're going to have our buddy Tony, who's really going to help us promote
Yep.
it.
Shout out to Tony Peck. man.
Tony Peck, the
That guy's a
Godfather,
legend.
baby.
That guy's a legend.
He's a legend.
He's a legend. He'd be happy that we're doing this right now.
He's coming on soon. Don't you worry.
I'm gonna look out for that one. That's gonna be a good one.
Hey, we're making a good one right now, though.
For sure, we are. We are.
So listen, when we did these podcasts back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
I would let them go for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes. But
Yeah.
I have no, this time around we're doing it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm bringing back the podcast for anybody who's listening out there is it's time to think differently.
Right.
Right. Kind of like you, Mike, who came into the industry when it was really hot.
Yep.
I did too.
Right.
And now business is slowing down, it's returning to normality. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the great way to get ahead is you take the things that work for you and keep doing them. I got away from recording the podcast. I saw unprecedented success in my
Yep.
industry.
Yep.
But one thing I lost was that homegrown creativity, which is what
Yep.
made me successful
Huge.
in the first place.
Yep.
So I'm bringing it back. There's going to be no real rhyme or reason as to when episodes are released. It's going to be a completely stress-free
Yep.
endeavor. Because last time it did begin to get a little stressful towards the end. It was like, all right, episode a week. And I'm like, I also have a
Right.
job and I have a
Right.
family. And
And then trying to coordinate with everybody's schedule. When can you come? This,
and the
that.
worst part was, though, is we had to go back. So the last video I released was with this guy Gaetano, and we were in person, and like there was no perspective like of how to do an in-person podcast
Right.
yet. Like the podcast in the past was all Zoom.
Right.
And they made it so easy, Zoom,
Right.
because it was just like, if you have a microphone and you have a headset, like you're
good.
good.
Yeah.
Record the podcast,
Right.
and we'll not only this, we'll split the audio files for you, so you just put it in GarageBand and you publish it.
Right.
So I didn't even have like visuals on there. So like now we've got this big ring light. I'm looking directly into the
Yeah.
camera that I
Yeah.
hope is recording right now.
Did you hit start?
I believe I hit start. But I'm just trying to bring it back. My brother's no longer a part of it either, but just trying to bring back the things that made me successful in the
Yep.
first place. Because I think that that's what it's all about. It's that thing we were talking about earlier, which the buzzword is creativity. How are you going to be more creative than your
Yep.
competition?
Yep.
You do a wonderful job at that. I mean, for all Mike Spindler fans out there, we should give a big shout out to his fiance Leanne, who records all his videos.
Yes.
She's an expert recorder.
Very good videographer.
Very good. If you haven't
lucky.
seen any of the videos, Mike will walk around. He's got like a lavalier mic, right? You got the and he'll walk around and like they're expertly shot videos. So shout out to her for the great videos. She's
very good.
So and then we also have some other exciting stuff coming up. Not only to segue a little bit, but just talking about creativity, you and I together are working on something really cool with, again, The Godfather. And we're going to be putting out these social media videos and bringing back the podcast. Just trying to do what our competition is.
Yep. And I think that those videos, based on the conversations that we've had, are going to be more of not just informational. I think that's always the goal, is to give out more info and more value, but kind of give everybody a behind-the-scenes look on talking about our Connect CT events and putting that together and the people that we've met, without naming names, of course. But I think it's more about behind the scenes plus information, and that equals value all day long.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be really, really cool. I do.
Me too.
You got any questions for me?
I guess, where do you see kind of your business going in terms of like over the next couple of months with the market kind of changing? I mean, obviously you're going to get back to the creative side of it, which I think that it starts right here, right? Like 20-minute videos, half hour, whatever they are, just adding value all day long. But what are some other things that you have in mind?
So, in all transparency to anybody listening, this is the slowest the industry's ever been for me.
Why is that though?
Just don't have a lot of lead generation going on. As much as I'm trying for lead generation, I'm not quite getting it.
Right.
Which means I can either double down or sit on my hands and say, why me? I've never been I was adopted at 16, figured my own way out, and I'll never be the guy to say, why me? But it's certainly hard when you are now in an industry where just things are different, right? The industry's changing, right? The insurance industry, for example, is upside down right now. COVID crushed us, right? They were giving away money. Basically, they literally gave away money at one point to everybody. Like they had the COVID relief checks. And they're just upside down. Like for example, in New York, if you sell a policy and it costs $1, the insurance company is automatically at the snap of a finger losing $1.40. Like that's crazy.
That's huge.
So they're just pulling the product out.
Right.
So like I've lost a lot of New York. Not writing nearly as much as New York, and New York was 60% of my business. So
because you grew up there,
right? Because I grew up there, but I would also do like a lot of prospecting there. I would do this like lead transfer service and stuff, and so that's going on. But like in terms of what I plan, I fully plan to dive into commercial insurance head first. I've got some other stuff that I'm not going to bring up on the podcast, but
don't want to give out too much info.
I can't give out the secret tips.
Secret sauce.
But just really boots on the ground marketing. I'm going to be putting banners up places. Just doing things differently, because doing things differently is what got me successful in the first place.
Talking about doing things differently, like I don't know if you've heard of, I'm sure you have, but like open houses for realtors, like doing them with mortgage brokers being there. I wonder if it would make sense if we do an open house together.
I'm down. So
have you ever done that?
I've done one with John Michael, who was coincidentally the first person I ever had on this podcast. I went to Joey Pasquino's the other day, but I just popped in there. I didn't really host it with him.
Right.
The ones that would be beneficial for are the ones that are in a flood zone, because flood insurance is not based on the name of the client where home insurance is, right? So flood insurance is cut and dry. Like you're here, this is what it costs. So that would be a good one, because I could put like pamphlets up that say, hey, here's a quote for flood insurance for the year. It's funny, when I did that with John Michael years ago, one of the first like really, really early on in my career, like I'm honestly thinking like it was March, and I started in February of 2020, like on my own. I've been in the business for quite a bit though.
Right.
I actually got the business of the buyer, which was crazy, because she just saw my flood insurance quote and was like, it's a good idea.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, maybe that's something we should be doing then.
I think we should. Yeah. I mean, even if we have like, you came to that Broker's Open that I had, right?
That was great.
With the wine and the margaritas. We'd do a big open house. We get all the neighbors in. They have, it might not be a buyer, right? It might be the neighbor's house that you maybe, like, maybe they're paying $300 a month in flood insurance.
Yeah.
But you believe you can get them down to $200. You never know. I think that we should get creative, like doing that type of stuff as well.
I'm in, and we can have that conversation for sure. Before I get to our last question, do you have anything you want to add for anybody out there besides that? If you're buying a house, you should call Mike Spindler.
and selling a house.
And selling a house.
I don't really have anything to add. I think we kind of touched on a lot of things. I think if you're a new agent in the business, especially in a market that is not what it was when I got into it. I still believe you got to get down to basics and talk to the most amount of people. And I think that you can't get caught up in kind of what's going on in the news and everyone saying no one's buying houses. People are always going to be buying houses. You know, like, yeah, the interest rate's 7%, but like the last generation saw like 18%. That's insane. If we get to that, I think that's a problem.
Yeah.
But and even so, even at 18%, people are still going to be buying houses. Like, there's always a deal out there. So like, I just wouldn't get caught up in the news, whether forget about a new agent, but like even somebody in the insurance world or you're a potential buyer, seller, and investor. Like, you just got to go out there and talk to the people that have the boots on the ground like you and I, and realize that it's still a great market no matter what.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with your statement. And now I'm going to ask my favorite question in the podcast. Mike Spindler, where do you see yourself in 20 years?
Yeah, you know, I did my homework. Mm-hmm. I listened to a couple of the previous podcasts, and I thought about it. I heard this question. I know you ask it to everybody, and I don't have a great answer, but I'll spitball it.
Where's Belize? Where do you see yourself?
I still think, I know for a fact I'm still going to be a real estate agent, despite, everyone saying that robots are going to take over the industry. Mm-hmm. I think there'll always be human to human.
There's always something for the personal touch.
Right, absolutely. So I'll still be a real estate agent. I think at that point probably have a team under me, and having a family, probably staying here in Stanford, owning multiple investment properties, doing some flips, some rental properties and stuff like that. I don't know. I haven't really thought 20 years down the line, other than, I'm more of a day-to-day type of guy.
All right. Well, I appreciate having you on, and let's cut to the music.
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we were joined by Michael Spindler, and it's great to be back, folks. Until next time.